Hello, Robert Heffernan with EndoTech. This is Blockchain Vitals. It's our weekend edition. Everybody's working for the weekend, man. And already Saturday morning in Asia. Good morning. Good weekend to you in Asia. And Blockchain Vitals does a weekend segment because cryptos never sleep. They trade 24/7, 365 days a year until we run out of electricity on the planet. And you need to know, you need to have actionable trading levels, and that's what the Blockchain Vital sheet supplies to you on a daily basis. And I do this segment so I can talk about my thoughts going into the weekend. And like last Fridays, I talked about how we needed to see the complex finish strong in order to really talk about a fully turning around of the semi on the highway that is this crypto asset class, and talk about a bull run. And boy, on Saturday I was fairly optimistic. I woke up Sunday morning and what a turnaround that happened on the weekend. All right, that's why the weekend is important, because cryptos never sleep. So, we used to talk about things being quiet in a commodity trading pit, allowing for manipulation on thin markets, on holiday markets. Well, cryptos have it pretty much every weekend. So it'll be very interesting to see what shows up this weekend as far as the price action goes on, because I'm telling you right now, we are close to really changing the dynamic in this market. And if we can finish the weekend strong, there's going to be a whole different story to tell about the explosive potential in the market. And it's coming if we can finish strong. Let's do the rounds, though, and talk about a headline maybe. Doing the rounds is my chance to talk things in the crypto sphere. We got an echo here. Make sure we don't got an echo. And the headline well, it's right there. I was going to bring it up. What am I doing? The Binance has a research group, and the Binance research group saying JP Morgan token a stepping stone to mass crypto adoption. And I couldn't agree more with this analogy. Two things struck me about this, and actually it struck me when the JP Morgan talked about its coin. First of all, in the history of money, which was so well talked about, not that book, but I don't want to lead you astray. In last spring, in Consensus in New York, the Fed governor from St. Louis was talking, and he was making the point that there can be and has been multiple currencies working in the system at the same time. As a matter of fact, back in the day, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, JP Morgan and Chase Bank, maybe both of them, lots of banks anyways, had individual notes, and they were notes drawn on the bank. And he just talked about the evolution of money, how people didn't like having a bunch of different bank notes because they really didn't know what they were all worth at any particular time. And it was cumbersome to carry them all in your wallet. And knowing what the exchange rate, if it was changing, if a bank's volatility and what their what their bank note was worth, it became problematic to exchange these type of things. Well, I think this shows me that, a lot of times you hear the term, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like we're going back to this. JP Morgan's going to have their own currency, their own note, to begin with, just for transferring in a digital environment using a closed blockchain or crypto environment, so they can transfer money between multinationals easily. The numbers are just incredible. 6 trillion a day. 6 trillion a day. Their customers are transferring back and forth between entities. And I know JP Morgan's getting in the middle of a little of that, right? What a business. Anyway, my thought here is, and along with Binance, is it's a stepping stone here. So if blockchain technology helps make this faster, easier, cheaper, by all means, JP Morgan's going to do it. Their customers are going to love it. But at one point, does their customers say, well, why do we need JP Morgan at all? And you see this all the time in the evolution of technology, where something comes out and people start to adopt it and people offer it to their customers. And then all of a sudden you offer it to your customer, and guess what? Your customer doesn't need you anymore because of the technology. And that's kind of how I see this evolving. And it might not be next year. It might not be in 5 years. It might not be in 10 years. Right? But that's the trajectory here that this technology is going to do to disrupt. Anyway, the important point of all of this, though, is that all of these things influence the price action, right? All of these things, if they're worthy of investing or disinvesting money in a particular asset because of this information, it plays out in the price action, right? It plays out in price discovery. So let's take the vitals and talk about it, because we got some things percolating here. And taking the vitals is a chance to talk about that relative health or sickness of any particular cryptocurrency that's we're covering on the blockchain sheet. And this week I've been covering BNB for your viewing pleasure. And a nice candle in BNB on the weekly, expanding potentials on the weekly, a nice candle on the daily, firmly, right now BNB trading 11.45, firmly back into upmo on the daily, expanding potentials on the daily and the weekly. This coin's looking healthy. These are the things that I look for healthy price action. So even when we had this several day turnaround and somewhat of a meltdown, but definitely a pullback, we still had expanding potentials on both the daily and the weekly. And that carries over, man. It's like the momentum factor. The slope of these lines are like the momentum factor. Yeah, it can be counter the move, but as long as you got positive potentiality in the marketplace in any particular asset, you got to be careful fading that type of setup. And that's what we have right now in BNB. And let's talk about Bitcoin, right? But in order to listen to that portion, if you're listening on YouTube, you need to be an EndoTech subscriber. You need to get over to endotech.io and subscribe, and then you can watch the full segment at endotech.io and know exactly what I'm going to be looking for this weekend as far as Bitcoin is concerned, to continue telling this story of us turning this freight train around, or this semi-trailer around on the highway, to get going into a bullish phase here. And we're close. We already are. I'm telling you, we already have this in play in BNB, for instance, and a few others, and I'll talk about those too. All right, so see you later, you